Now we're live, buddy. Are you ready?
I'm ready, baby.
Oh
Hey,
man,
I see the live counter. Let's rock and roll, Narksy.
let's bring it on, dude. I had some caffeine earlier. I hope that's caffeine you're drinking there, or maybe it's a beer. I don't know, man.
I
Dude,
don't plan. I don't
we
plan on. Hey,
yeah
we
yeah
deserve.
we had no hotel beers this weekend. I'm
We
sad.
didn't have no. Yeah, we didn't have any. But I would say, welcome everyone to the Midwest Drag Racing Series post show. We're calling it. I say we deserve a drink. This is not alcoholic, but
Yeah.
I say we deserve one because we had an awesome weekend at the Throwdown in T Town, Mike. I mean, first off, it was 202 days we went without racing. And
That's a long time.
it's a very long time. And we finally got back to it. We had an awesome event. Hey, Shelly. Hey, Kurt. Good to see the Riffles there. We'll talk about
Hmm.
them later because Kurt Riffle, hardest working man in showbiz, I swear.
Telling you.
Hardest interview to get for you, too. But man, just summarize for me, Mike, what you're feeling right now. Because I mean, like, it's
Listen,
nice to be back, isn't it?
oh man, it is nice to be back. I'm ready to go again though.
Yep.
I've had a couple days of sleep. It really did take me a couple days to get over
Oh
the
yeah.
amount of work that we did. I was up till about 4:45 on Saturday night, Sunday morning, dropped Daniel off at the airport at 4 o'clock, drove back to the hotel, showered, got to bed. Literally woke up at 6:45, 2 hours later, and drove home to spend the day. Luckily, my wife is amazing. And for her Mother's Day, let me take naps. So I took like 3 naps all day Sunday. But it's taken me a couple days to get over, man. I can't imagine what these racers have gone through. What about you on your side? Did you have some fun? I don't know if you're stuck or if you're just sleeping over there, but I'm sure he was busy. It looks like he is hung up for a minute. So
There we
it's crazy for me. I'll tell you what. That's the recap for me. We had a long weekend.
go. We did. Shelly and Kurt hit it. Yeah, bang on. Race hangover. Hey, Dave Pierce, he's still dragging his rear end. Dude, I felt the race hangover. I went to the airport in Tulsa and I got like both Josh and I, who is our new tech guy, and we got a nice 4 hour delay, 4.5 hour
Oh,
delay on our flights to Denver.
ouch.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I was feeling. I've napped all Monday, and yeah, dude, it's great. We're gonna be back at it in
Yep.
Odessa in just a few weeks. So not this weekend, not Memorial Day weekend, but the weekend after. So 3 weeks, we will see you guys at the brand new Flying H drag strip in Odessa, just outside of Kansas City. And it's going to be
Yep.
great to be in a new market for the Midwest series and a brand new strip. I mean, Flying H motor or Flying H and Blake Housley and I mean Scott Higgins. They're all doing a great job. At Flying H. I've heard stellar reviews. Mike, you
Yeah.
got someone to text you said like 5 stars. Cody Driver is going to be there. Great
Yeah.
to see you. We'll see you there, Cody. We got a lot of things to get around to. Yeah, good to see you. Good to see Jeff and Lisa Hostetler. Hey, what's up, Alex?
Alex, and he was saying, "What's up, homies?" He was on the road today. He was actually within about an hour, hour and a half of me, and I just couldn't break away to go see him. I was doing some
No
artwork
kidding.
for the spring SmackDown, and he said the next time he goes on a road trip and it comes close, he's going to redirect it and come through Northwest Arkansas. So I'm excited to see him again.
Absolutely, absolutely. This
Yeah,
was his first weekend. He said he had a blast.
yeah,
He w- Daniel, I remember at one point. So if you're watching the stream and you see the roamer cam, that's Alex. He does a
hmm
lot of other things behind the scenes, but that's one of the main duties he has. And Daniel at one point said, "Are you going to be okay? You have to get really. We want you to get really close to the cars." And Alex is like, "Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I'm totally okay with that."
yeah. Yeah, later. So, funny cars are loud for people that don't know. And when you're standing between them, it's really loud. I looked over and that you could not have wiped that dude's face off by attaching it to the back of one of those funny cars. He was in heaven. It was awesome. So yeah, we had a good time. It was pretty wild. The weekend was crazy. 30,000, nearly 30,000 fans in attendance at the throwdown. Insane amounts of people, insane amounts of cars. I think we had a couple like 100 or 210 cars or something like that total for the weekend. I don't know what's going on with the internet. I hope I'm not lagging. Maybe maybe Luke is lagging, but he's definitely got it held up there on that end. Uh-oh. Got Alex here saying I can't hear you. That's not good. Well, I'm gonna have to check on the stream and see what we got going on here. All righty. Hang on, stay with me. All right. Daniel said he's gonna jump in a minute.
Oh, there we go. I'm sorry about that. You cut out here and there, so I was hoping you were rolling with me, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know if you saw it, but the amount of I don't know if you said it because it cut out. The amount of fans in Tulsa. This was one of the biggest throwdowns in a decade. Almost 30,000 fans came through. We noticed right off the gate on Friday night that it was going to be huge. And I want to give a shout out. We had more fans in Tulsa that stayed around after Bone Shaker, which was at like 10 to 10:30 to watch.
Yeah.
We had wrapped pro mods at that point, right? So they were watching local bracket classes and index classes run into like midnight, and I congratulated what I affectionately call the sickos out there, right? The guys who are like, man, we're gonna watch till 1 a.m.
We're gonna watch every race.
Every race.
It was nuts. We were running people out. Like we were like, okay, cool, have fun. See ya. You know, come here next week, please.
Yeah,
I gotta go right now.
Oh, it was so awesome. I went out there, I sat down there on the starting line at one point. I'm like, this is why Tulsa is one of the great cities in racing, man. It's just no that the amount of people who stuck around was more than the attendance we get at some races. Like legit.
It won't be this year, I'm telling you. Cars are cool again, man. People want to watch racing. And they got a handful of it this weekend. They got a handful of it. I see Daniel is backstage. I'd like to bring him on if that's all right. That throws a little bit of change in our mix up here. But
we'll talk to Daniel. He is our production director. We also have racer stories, racer updates to get at in a little bit. We'll give you a recap of the event if you couldn't watch it. Shout out to Keith Parsons, Tom Harger, Alex there, James Ogden, the weekend champion. We'll talk about him later. But
all right, I'm bringing him on. Here we go.
Bring him on.
All right, Mr. Daniel Green, how are you, sir?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Oh man, we're awesome. It's if it gets a little glitchy, we want to apologize early, but right now we're good and glad that you're here because Daniel. Some shots this weekend, man, big time. It was pretty awesome to watch him do his work and really keep probably the biggest team of Midwest Drag Race Series production moving forward the whole weekend. It was pretty impressive, dude.
Yeah, I definitely feel that we set the industry standard. You know, now everybody in the production industry needs to come up a notch. I feel. We have some other things up our sleeves, and we got some things that we need to work on. But you know, bringing our production into flow, flow racing. I don't feel like I said, I feel we set the standard for what's streamed through flow racing now in the drag racing form. You know, they've had a bad rap. Let's be honest. You know, but I think now that we've had one under our belt, we've set the standard with what everybody else needs to bring to the table.
Yeah, I mean, and I think everybody enjoyed watching it. A lot of the folks in the pits were watching it on their phones or on, they have a whole setup on the toter home there. They were watching it as we were producing it. It was pretty awesome to see that as you go through the pits and hear everybody saying, we were doing a good job. That was always a big plus to get. So who all did we have on site? If you want to run through the names of folks and give some shout outs.
So we bring in an 8-person team that does everything for us. We have a rover we call Alex. He's down from Texas, and he goes around and changes batteries and stuff like that and adjusts his camera angles. We got 2 inside production guys. All they do is run the production side of things, switching cameras on the switcher and editing content on the fly. And then we got you out in the pits, getting the content for the people and bringing it back up to the tower for us to edit. And then we got myself and a few others, but no, we got a strong team going into the season. But we have some things to work on, and that's one of the reasons why I wanted to come on and acknowledge our I wouldn't acknowledge our learning curve, I should say. They're not mistakes because we didn't know any better. I want to just acknowledge our learning curve and let people know, the flow production, once we got it figured out, it took about an hour or so to get it figured out. But once we got it figured out, that is the new flow industry standard for sure.
Mhm.
But it's filming at Tulsa Raceway Park is hard, and I'll tell you why. And this is what people at home need to understand or should understand. The sun rises at the top end of the track and it sets at the tower. And so all day long, we don't autofocus any of our cameras. We don't autofocus the color because it's just autofocus is not ever going to be perfect,
Mhm.
So every 30 to 45 minutes, we're going out onto the track and adjusting the color of the camera, adjusting the angle of the camera, on the fly. And keep in mind, people at home, that we are live streaming this. There is no room for error. And and I'm going to ask right now, going into Odessa, that we ask for you guys' grace and your guys' gratitude, because we're streaming this to your television, to your phones, to your computers, live, and there's no room for error. And so if there is an error made, it literally happened 45 seconds ago. Give us a break.
You're not wrong. I think there's a lot of things that go on behind the scenes. I want to give a shout out to you, Daniel, because I've mentioned this a couple times. I go back 2 or 3 years, and I'm running the switcher and the cameras and everything while I'm talking. This year, I'm like, I'm just talking. Like, there's 2 people back there who are taking care of all the content. And you could, if you listen closely in the audience, you can actually hear me every once in a while, like, yeah. And that's me moving because Noel or Ryan, one of our 2 in-house guys, are going back and they're adjusting the cameras that are right above my head.
Mhm.
Literally.
And it was, but it was awesome. It's awesome to be part of a team. It felt, I said to, I think it was Josh, or maybe it was you, Mike. I said, I feel like we've been on the highway to what we want to be for a long time, and we're not quite at the destination, but for the first time, I think I saw the skyline, right? I'm like, there it is. Like we're close. We're very close. And we have little things, and keep in mind too, every track setup is different. So we're always putting out fires. That's something I don't think people behind the scenes understand, is every track has its own several unique different challenges of setting up.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
And we don't show. Go ahead, Michael.
I was saying not just that, but like, let's talk about plugins for a minute. Tulsa Raceway Park, my hero, with the amount of plugins in that place, it was amazing. There's some tracks you may get 2 or 3 plugins total in the room. So it's pretty cool to work in a facility like that.
Well, and also we don't, I show up to most tracks on Wednesday, and most of our production crew shows up Thursday afternoon, because it's not our full-time job. This is kind of like a hobby. It's a moderately paid hobby. Okay. So we still have full-time jobs that we have to attend. So we can't get there and perfect our setup in enough time, and again, I just can't emphasize enough. And I read some of the messages that we've gotten, and I know I probably shouldn't read the messages. I've always been taught not to read the messages, but y'all got to give us some grace out here. Y'all's got to give us some understanding. We are streaming to you guys live in action at a 45-second delay. So when mistakes are made, it was literally 45 seconds ago. So I can't emphasize enough how proud I am as our production team, how proud I am of Keith, handing me the reins and saying, Daniel, take it over, do your thing. And I could tell you what, Odessa coming up in a couple weeks, that's just going to be a trial for the big SmackDown race.
Yeah.
And the production for the SmackDown race is going to be one that you should have paid a little bit more. Flo should have probably charged a little bit more for the production. For real.
That's right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
We're looking forward to it, Daniel. I mean, I know just this weekend we had a couple tricks up our sleeves that we were like, maybe we'll use it, but also like we want to make sure what we have works, right?
Oh, for sure.
That's the
you
other
know,
thing too. It was the first race of the season after 2 false starts. So I know we kind of kept talking
Yeah.
about that. Like, everybody got amped up and then it was let down for 2 times. So this really was a lot of emotion that came into this, and then finally getting to put it out. And yeah, man, I think we did great. I think it was a good show, especially for the first time of the year, and to be in front of 8,000 people, something like that. It was amazing.
and I want to think. Go ahead. The crowd, yeah, go on.
Yeah, here's the thing. The flow racing stream is great, let's be honest. But this event in person, we pulled some stuff out of our sleeves that we've never done before, and the crowd was having it. 27,000 people, and I'm telling you what, Ellen and I went over the schedule the other day, and I think the numbers are only going to grow. We have upwards of 18 to 22 pro mods coming to the Odessa race in a couple weeks. Like y'all have no idea. This is gonna. We're like I said, we set the standard. So now we just hold it and wait for everyone else to match.
Absolutely. Yep. Hey, you mentioned the crowd, man. We got a fall throwdown. All right. Martin always gets great crowds. Odessa's going to be huge for us.
Huge.
All I'm going to say is get ready for pack stands here in the Midwest because I am so ready. This is probably the part where, thank you, Shelly and Kurt, and I see you, JR. We have people if you want to join this now. But I want to say, we pulled some stuff out. Brings us to one of our little things that did go onto the live stream. We got a T-shirt cannon this year, man.
Yeah.
We were throwing frisbees out. I got the fire T-shirt cannon. I have a video of me forgetting that there's a safety on the T-shirt cannon. So,
yeah.
And huge shout out to Mark Griffin for charging our canisters with that compressed air.
I'm telling you, that was a lifesaver.
You buy a T-shirt cannon and you don't realize until you get it that it's like, oh, I need like a paintball size CO2. CO2 gun,
Yep. And
he goes, compressed air. That's literally on the side of my car. I got you.
Well, what y'all don't know is that the screw on part where you fill the air was not the right size. So like he was making it work to fill those two up. So
I did not know that. Man.
Yeah, big shout out to Mark for making that work.
Yeah, if Mark listens, hey, buy the adapter. I'll pay you back for it because we're gonna need some more. We're gonna need some more compressed air supercharging for the rest of the year. So.
Yeah, so I'll be at Tulsa this next week for Leap Today over there. So I'm going to grab those canisters, get some CO2 to see if we can get more air cannon, T-shirt cannon use out of them because we only got about 10 or 12 T-shirts fired out of those things before they were out of air. And that's not enough. That's not enough.
No. And hey, if you're in Tulsa and you're at the Tulsa Raceway Park, we're going bigger. We're going badder for the fall throwdown too.
Yeah.
We're going to have more T-shirts, more frisbees, you name it. We'll have it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So hold on. I want to answer this. Ethan Whitsitt said, "Can you guys explain Mark Mickey's run? He ran a 2:27, and the announcer said it was a record, but I saw he's run a 2:30 before. So I keep a couple things. First off, I keep records for the Midwest Drag Racing Series in the 8th mile, and the reason I would talk about a record in terms of Midwest races is because." What might be a PDRA or, a Midwest race record or an NHRA pro mod record at the 8th, you name it. We all run slightly different rule sets. So what is theoretically possible in one is also theoretically maybe a little too fast to be realistic for another, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right. So I mentioned it's a Midwest Drag Racing Series record. However, I'm also adding an asterisk on that because Mark Mickey himself came to us and said that he didn't believe that was quite accurate. He thinks that he crossed the beam kind of funky. He thought it was about 223, 224 mile per hour, which would still actually be right up near the fastest mile per hour we've had in the in the pro mod class in Midwest. However, because I don't have the specific number, I can't like mark that down on my sheet. But yeah, I keep stats for Midwest. If it's a world record, takes longer for me to talk. And the last time we had it was, I think Chris Marshall had the world record at the 8th for funny car. But yeah, it was a Midwest record. But then he also said, I don't think I ran that. I think there's some beam trickery. So I retracted / kind of shut up about it because I'm like, I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, we know that he can do it.
He can do it.
We're going to talk about what he ran at Flying H to set the track record already.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about that here in just a minute too.
Hey,
and then Scott Palmer down here saying what a great race.
Hey, it was great to see Scott, by the way. Yeah, it was an awesome weekend. Is this the part where we can we transition? Cody Driver says the record is 222 for Pro Mod. Let me pull this up real quick. I have it on an Excel sheet, so I'm going to tab over to it.
Yep.
Midwest Drag Racing Series records. The one that I can confirm, because we've had a couple that are like up there, right? But the one confirmed that I have is Ed Thornton in 2022 ran 222.29. The other ones that are above that are, I think a lot of us have gone, I'm not sure that mile per hour speed capture is quite accurate. So, but the one we can confirm is 222.29. So, yeah, great one. Great grab there, Cody. That's a nice pull. So is this the part where we talk about our racing this weekend, actually?
Dude, let's talk about it. We've done so many pre-shows or gonna be ready shows. I mean, we wrote notes for 2 shows that didn't happen at all. So, all right, looks like he's hung up again. Real quick, event winners. Let me jump in here. I do want to give you guys the QR code real quick, because this is, if you don't already have Flow Racing as a subscription, this is your code to use. You need to use this code because it helps us on our side. This actually helps with production income for the Midwest Drag Race Series for folks that sign up. And then obviously we're going to talk about some event winners up next when Luke gets back. I don't know what's going on with the internet, but I hope you guys can hear me on my side. If you can, let me know in the comments. Again, I'm not getting any glitchy stuff on my side, but I'm the one that's hosting it. Oh, Luke is back.
Yes.
Let's take this Luke off.
Yeah, I actually just shut it down. I could hear you, but I'm like, let's close this out and go.
Okay. Easy enough.
Where were we at? Take us away.
Yeah, so I was telling them about the QR code and to just hold their phone up against the screen right now and get this QR code, and then we were going to start talking about event winners. And then he locked up again. See, this is what I'm talking about with live stream. And then some comments here real quick. Steve Cook says we went 228 with Todd Moyer's car in Orlando last year, unless you're talking about Midwest. Yeah, we're talking about Midwest only. Those are the records that we're going to worry about here on the Midwest Drag Race Series show.
Just Midwest records. Like I said, because it gets I like to talk about Midwest records because obviously we're under one cohesive rule set. So let's talk about our winners. Black Mamba, Keith Haney does it again. And I think it's always hard to say. I mean, I think he's proven why he's the defending champ. He's proven why he's one of the favorites to win this year. But we have a lot of other winners. I think Pro Mod is going to be very intriguing. Let's get through the winners. How about Annie Whiteley defeating husband Jim Redlit at the end?
Big time win.
Big time win. Yeah. Funny Car was deep, and we had probably our closest field in terms of just finishes was Funny Cars. Brings us to Top Sportsman. Yeah, there it is. Rod Moore trying his 3-peat in the Whiskey Barrel, and he looks unstoppable. He's been unstoppable for a hot second. What's up, Eric? Rod Moore's just He gets another win. He's well on his way
Yeah.
to becoming a
And sorry,
three-peat.
sorry I didn't put his shot in here from the winner circle. I just, in the midst of getting all the slides together, I missed that one.
So this is a first-time winner. This in the Midwest Series. All right. This is Jeremy Maple. Jeremy Maple won Top Dragster over Jordan Epper-Jesse, who is also looking for her first Midwest Series win. And I mean, congratulations to Jeremy Maple. I understand he has a bracket racing background, and you know, it was great to see him. And speaking of older names and indexes, here's our Pro 420 champion, James Ogden. We'll get into Pro 420 a little bit because it was a little funny the way Pro 420 shook out with Dave Pierce, James Ogden, and the whole crew. But 420,
huge field.
it was a
Huge
huge
field.
field.
Let's talk
10,
about that.
11
Yes.
cars.
Yep.
Yeah, it was
Awesome.
big.
Awesome.
And they're fast. This is going to be a really fun thing to watch all year,
Yep.
man. And then do we have the Pro Juniors?
We
as
do.
well. Yeah. So Alexis Kesterson is our other person going for a three-peat. So Alexis won late in the night. Alexis has a distinction of winning, I believe, our only Midwest class that went 5 rounds. So Alexis has won 5 rounds so far this year, leads the Midwest Drag Racing Series because of a deep field. And
That's
of course, Brecken Whiteley. It's the last name, right? The racing runs of the Whiteley, Jeeds, Brecken Whiteley, Stephen and Delana, a very proud parents. And Brecken went 4 rounds, took out quite a few previous champs as well. And it was great to see Brecken go the distance as well. So again, Keith Haney, Annie Whiteley, Rod Moore, Jeremy Maple, James Ogden, Alexis Kesterson, and Brecken Whiteley, your winners from the Throwdown in T-Town.
Yeah, definitely. And again, guys, I want to say thanks to all the followers. If you're following us, if you're watching this right here, you're watching on Facebook or YouTube on one of these guys, hit that follow button. Do that for us right now, please. And then hit that share button as we move into kind of some race info and all that kind of stuff. And then also thank you to the huge list of sponsors that make this whole thing possible. Payouts. Basically, a lot of these racers are, I mean, they're making it worthwhile, making it worth their time, you know. I know the cars are expensive to build, but maybe we can help with entry fees and things like that as we go along.
Absolutely.
It's pretty awesome.
Yeah. So let's get into a couple of storylines over the weekend. The track it poured in Tulsa. If you weren't in Tulsa, it poured in Tulsa up until like Wednesday, I think it was, right? So the track had to have time to kind of come around to it. And Samuel Peterson did a great job. We almost had a no prep race because it was Thursday night, I think. And he goes, we're back at the hotel. He goes, well, I'm hoping the glue comes in tomorrow. We're like, you almost saw, he's like, I have like a quarter tank of glue left. And our glue was supposed to come in 3 days ago, but it hasn't yet, or it was 2 days ago or something. And it hasn't yet. And well, hoping it comes in. So we almost had a no prep race.
Yeah. And this is 2:30 on Saturday morning. You know what I mean? So like 2:30 a.m. Saturday morning. Like
it
could have been really, really bad because people were getting ready. They had already made their qualifying runs, and we had, I think, most of the ladder set. There were a few people that moved up on Q3, but not many.
We actually kind of behind the kind of briefly talked. We're like, well, if need be, some of us can drive over to Thunder Valley or something. Yeah. But Ethan, yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. But good question there. But yeah, no, it will Thunder Valley and all, and we had like, we could drive over. Where's the nearest place? Who will have some? But it ended up working out. When I saw him spraying on Saturday morning, I'm like, oh, he must have it because he is very liberally using the glue.
Yeah. Had to get Q3 down, and dude, it worked. I mean, it worked from there, and then an all day of racing. And I think the track really probably only got better as it went.
It did actually. I have a sheet over here, and it is basically all the runs I could find on the Pro Mods that I wrote down for Pro Mods. And as it went in, you could see the average times matriculate downwards. You know, we had a lot of slower times, 3.7s and 3.8s. slower being a relative term, right? In
Mhm.
Q1 and Q2. And as we got into Q3, I mean, we had 3.6s, low 3.7s, and it just continued to go down. And Keith Haney won his third race at Tulsa Raceway Park
Mhm.
since 2020 in the Midwest Drag Racing Series. The Black Mamba gets it done again. He marched through Mike LeBate, John Stouffer, Mark Mickey, and Aaron Wells. And of course, Mickey being the fastest door car on earth and Aaron Wells being your 2019 champion.
Mhm.
Mike LeBate, the Angry Bird, and John Stouffer both are very formidable cars. So, I mean, I briefly talked with Keith before round one, and he was like, man, I would have slowed down in qualifications if I could have avoided being on Mark Mickey's side of the bracket.
Yeah.
It's like, I got one guy I got to worry about. That's Mark Mickey. And that's one of our storylines here. Mickey versus Haney goes to Keith Haney when it counts. And then the other time, the time got thrown out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Pretty wild. Pretty wild. I was going to say, and in the middle of that, Keith ran. Is that a personal best?
Personal best from the weekend. From the weekend.
From the weekend. Yeah.
Yeah. His weekend best.
368 over the weekend. Yeah. Crazy time.
I could have worded that note quite a bit better, but yeah, his quickest run was a 3:68.7. He ran that in round 3 of elimination. So it goes to show that the tunes came up and the track came up as well. Round 4, he ran a 3:69 and a 4. We don't know what his first run in Q1 would have been because he and Mickey were side by side. Mickey takes out the timing block, but Mickey was ahead and he takes out the final timing block. And I mean, we don't know what Keith's is because the beam broke before Keith got there, right? So I think it was going to be like a high 3.7 if I had to guesstimate just based off my memory. But we had to throw his time out and we threw Mark Mickey's out as well since he hit the timing block. It's a disqualification. Mark Mickey, on the other hand, Q2, Q3, round 1, round 2 of eliminate, round 3. I mean, dude was on rails all weekend. Let's talk about, if you look at this, at the stats here, Q2, the fastest time was Mark Mickey. Q3, the fastest time was Mark Mickey. Round 1 of eliminations, the fastest time in the entire round was Mark Mickey. Round 2, the fastest time of round 2 was Mark Mickey. Round 3, the fastest time was Mark Mickey, but he red lit up against Keith Haney. Keith gets the win. Keith was on a heater too, by the way. It was a great run. Would have been a fantastic drag race, but Mickey handed it to Keith and Keith never looked back. This to me, Mike, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, this reeks of the 10-round boxing fight we're going to have all season.
Oh man, I hope it does, because I hope that's what we're going to end up with. I hope we're going to end up with a little bit of, not necessarily rivalry as a word, but just some good competition. And all of these guys, though, I mean, Ron Minnick's second number 2 qualifier. I mean, he come out, laid some passes down, then almost wins the Slammers class or wins the Slammers class. I mean, it just is intense, man. It was a great weekend to racing for Bromots for sure.
Absolutely. And Mickey had a great run. To me, at many points, I felt like it was Mark Mickey's event to lose. Now, the beauty of drag racing is that it can, and oftentimes it does happen, that if it's your event to lose, it only takes one split-second mistake. See ya. And that's what happened. So Mark Mickey's going to need to come up in Odessa. He's got points to make up, man.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be the battle, right? Reigning champ versus the fastest door car in the world. In other pro mod notes, Brian Lewis impressed me over the weekend in Grumpy. He looked fast, and I have his runs right here: 372 in testing, 373, 370 in qualifying number 3, right? And then round 1 comes and he stalls on the line. Do you remember that? Yeah,
it's heartbreaking.
It was. He has Jeff Pierce tuning Grumpy, and so Grumpy looks like Grumpy is eating better than I've seen in a hot second. Which Grumpy, by the way, I love the Willies, very much lives up to its name.
Yes.
But he went into Slammers, and he won round 1 of Slammers, but I forget what he did in round 2 of Slammers, but he did not advance past that. Yeah, it was a damn sensor. Oh, poor. Yeah. I think Brian Lewis has some rounds in him this year, man. Anytime you get a Jeff Pierce tuned car, you have high expectations.
Yeah, he was on a lot of the cars this weekend and was making them work big time.
Mm-hmm. One of our biggest upsets of the year happened in round 1 already in Pro Mods.
Dude.
You want to talk about your number 2 qualifier, Ron Minix. Dude is on a rail. He has the Purple Heart, which is formerly Melanie Salemi's Purple Rain car. Purple Heart's got a brand new wrap. It's a beautiful looking Pro Mod. I think we have a picture of it somewhere. But let me find it. I got to go down the list here. There it is. So he runs a 368 in testing, 363 in Q1, 363.7. Then he runs a 363.8. Round 1, he loses in a pedal fest between he and Chris Giuliano. The number 2 qualifier goes.
Yeah. In the Facebook post or reel I made, I was like, that's a huge upset. That's a huge upset to do that right then.
Yeah. Especially because Chris Giuliano, if you didn't know, it was actually the number 17 qualifier. We had a field of 16, and the number 17 got in because our man in Brandon Yeoman broke down before round 1. So Chris Giuliano got in because he was the next fastest car. Chris Giuliano, I said, like Dante from Clerks, was like, I'm not even supposed to be here, man. He gets a gift and he does everything he could with it. He outpedals Ron Minix. That was crazy.
Yeah, it had to be. It had to be tough in Ron Minix's car to watch Giuliano go out in front of him. But I'm telling you, Ron looked great, and he obviously that moved him into the Slammers class, and he did well over there.
Yeah, he did. So he logs a 369, a 368, and a 5, and then in the finals he beats. In the finals he beats Todd Bennett. In the finals for the Slammers class with the 365 and a 2. So Minix is best of the Slammers, which does award, I think it's half championship points.
Nice.
And it does award money. And Minix goes, okay, like I had a bad break in my first round, but if I'm Ron, I go, there's some heavy hitters in Slammers, and I won Slammers. So Ron to me is looking very strong. I talked a couple points. This field looks deep this year. When you look at not just Haney, not just Mickey, and Mickey's going to be a problem for everyone this year, as is the defending champ. But I mean, Ron Minix, every run he had that he did, not including the pedal fest against Chris Giuliano, was at its slowest a 3.690. Didn't run a 3.7.
That's crazy. That is crazy.
He's got the run. Hey, that Derek Reed comment while we're talking about Pro Mods here. Yeah, Waffle House was great. We only had it twice? It was right outside the casino.
We had it Thursday night and Saturday morning early. 2 a.m. on Saturday was way different than Thursday night at midnight. The place was absolutely packed on Saturday morning at 2. It was crazy. It was great food. Alicia and the team over there, and then whoever we had Thursday night, they were having a blast. It was a good time for sure. Yeah, definitely highly recommend Waffle House if you're going to go drag racing for sure. One other person I want to talk about while we got Luke locked up there is Wayne Roberts. Huge win this weekend for those guys for just being able to come out. They essentially had planned to come out and make test passes all weekend and ended up going rounds. And so Wayne made a big long post on his Facebook page, essentially saying the plan was not to actually try and go fast, just to see if the car would go straight, not shake, not blow up, not hit the wall, and see if the driver could do what he does, see if the driver could still drive. But on the last qualifier, we got into the big show and qualified number 14. well, heck, now we got to get another test hit, and then we can go to the Slammers class after we get beat. But oh heck no, we won round 1 in the big show. We started talking about hopping this thing up, but no, we stuck to the plan. Round 2, we won again. So I'm basically going to write a full recap of his post, and then I'm going to reach out to him for some comments extra on that too to see what he's got coming for Flying H, and I'm going to post that to the Midwest Drag Race Series page.
I was wondering how the wait, because this is Wayne Roberts, as you said, it's his first run since in that scary accident last year, and I'm like, he keeps winning, and he's not going fast. He's not going round winning fast. He's just going in a straight line. And if my notes are right, Wayne Roberts, there it is. Yeah, 5s, 4s, 4s, 5s. Yeah, I don't think he broke a 3 all weekend. But you know what?
I mean, but here's the thing. Like that's I'm going to say that's age taking over there and telling him, hey, back it down. We want to ease into this.
Yep.
Your first outing in the car. I mean, has he had? I don't think he had any passes on before he showed up to Tulsa. And
I don't think so.
It wasn't many. So
yeah,
pretty awesome, man. Huge pat on the back to that team. They did
absolutely. I mean, this is why I say, rather be lucky than good. He got a couple. He got a couple. Opponents that bobbled it up, but again, age taken over. It's being wise about, let's not go out here and try and run 3 5s for heaven's sake. Let's spool it up, get it up to speed, make sure I'm good to go. And hey, maybe if I just, come in on the right side of the tree, you never know what can happen. This is drag racing. It's chaos. Yep. And Wayne Roberts, it was great to see him go into the semifinals where he finally lost against Aaron Wells, man. Semifinals. I was thrilled for him. I'll tell you what.
It was pretty awesome there. Pretty awesome. We'll talk about some funny car stuff, man.
Absolutely, man. Jim Whiteley red lights against Annie Whiteley. And it's a yeah, no, he had not. Yeah, 4.00 is what my notes say, quickest as well. Jim Whiteley versus Annie Whiteley in the final. We've seen the Whiteley versus Whiteley marriage matchup, right? And to me, when I watch this, Jim Whiteley red lights it, Annie chops a tree down. I think Jim knew that Annie was quicker on that particular evening. I think Jim knew he had to chop down a tree and got a little too greedy, came out with a cherry, and Annie took it from there. I think Jim, in a way, I don't know if there's a better word for this, but I think he was slightly intimidated by his wife on the other side, said, if I'm going to be here, I need to chop down this tree.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're probably 100% right. And he was trying not to do the dishes this week, I think. I don't know how that works. We're going to have to ask him what the winner gets. But I would think in my house, that's what it would be.
Do you think you need like marriage counseling if you drag race each other? I don't think so.
In the same class, that would be really tough. That would be really tough. I'll tell you that much. I can't imagine. I love my wife and she's awesome, but I don't know if we could race each other in this class.
You'd be just taking like pot shots while you're eating dinner. This is lukewarm. This is
the reaction time on your you should have taken this out of the oven faster.
Yeah,
leaving the tree.
I think the microwave dinged 0.2 of a second ago, and you didn't even open it. I mean, what's going on?
That would probably be something I would say. And then you get smacked, and then you don't get warm meals anymore. So, I've been married a long time. That's what happens. You keep your mouth shut, and you essentially, I'm sure if it comes down to it, Jim's making sure Andy's car is faster. And that's probably what we saw. I mean, really, 100%.
Absolutely. Indeed, a great weekend, Zayden, for the J&A Service Funny Car crew. Also, Shelly, Shelly, you and Kurt, man, Pro 420s. There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the experience of driving Pro mods, but we welcome another driver. I want to highlight one of the I think it's a semifinal matchup as I go over to my funny car notes. Yeah, the semifinal matchup in round 2 between Jim Whiteley and Steve Macklin.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a drag race.
Yeah.
Jim Whiteley logs a 366 and a 4. He takes the win. Steve Macklin, though, a 3.669. He pulled a 6.6 with a 9 out of the hat and lost in terms of ET by 0.005 of a second. Monster run from Steve Macklin. And I said, hey, you know what? You lose in the semis, but that's the start of your title. It's a statement as you begin your title defense is, I'm running 6.6s. If you want to beat me, you got to run some darn fine times, which Jim Whiteley and Annie did.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It was impressive to watch that whole team all weekend. It was awesome. Everybody did a great job on those levels and all the levels of racing, but those two, man, Mod and Funny Car, they were rocking it.
Hey, give a shout out to the new team on.
Oh yeah, the Van Howens. Hang on just a second. I've got a good picture here. You look at this thing. This team I know likes to party. I know they do, and I want to party with them because this whole setup here, their toter home, the trailer, everything is done up like this. And so I had to ask, and apparently it's either from a beer commercial or vodka commercial from like the 1980s. They saw the chick, and then obviously if you're gonna have, rocker chick on there, you got to have a polar bear, and she's got to be riding the polar bear. And the whole theme of the whole weekend was this. It was really amazing. It was a lot of fun to have them. Luke is back.
Yeah. My sincere apology. I don't know what's up. I am wired in, so we're gonna hard reset this computer after this. But
yeah, no worries.
You said it was from a beer or vodka commercial in the 80s. This reminds me of the old animated The Heavy Metal movie, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yes, 100%.
Heck yeah. We love funny cars. Shelly's went 13 seconds. Shelly, you're like 5 seconds faster than my fastest pass. So we had a flying start. So, it was a roll race. But we love all of our new. Great to see Brian Brown back for the first time in a hot second in Funny Car. I love funny cars, man. I love car count. I'm a car count, especially when it comes to funny car Stan.
Yeah, I mean, was there 6 or 8 funny cars this weekend? Man, it was a lot. It was awesome to see that many on site, because I think one of the 2 races
6.
last year, I think they had 4. Yeah, so 6.
Yep.
I mean, that's 150% more than we had at the race I was at last year.
And top alcohol funny cars, they don't just grow on trees, right? Like there's not as many of those around as it. That is a class that is not easy to find a full field of 16 in a lot of places. So to have 6 show up is great. And we always welcome more. As I want to take a pause here and talk about our entry fees and payouts real quick, because Keith highlighted this to me and I was like, oh man, because usually I'm not the guy out there, so I don't pay attention to what the entry fees are, right? Entry fee for pro mods was $400. Payout for first round losers is $500. So you have to pay an entry fee, but if you make the first round, I mean, you're walking away with $100 more dollars. Back. Yeah, you can make some Waffle House. Funny Car.
Yep, same for Funny Car too, right? I think if Luke comes back, based on his notes here, same for Funny Car, which is really cool to be able to have that kind of racing. And again, we talked earlier, may have probably overstepped, but essentially making it affordable, with entry fees anyways, for sure. So that's pretty cool to have that kind of payout. And of course, if you win $10,000 for pro mod, and I think it's 3,500 or 7,500 for Funny Car, but he'll know when he comes back. And again, that's all stuff that we'll be learning. He was talking about having more funny cars this year. That is a goal of mine, is to talk about funny cars a lot more on the website and on the page as well. So hang on just a second. Got to kick him out. Bring him back on, sir.
Okay. All right. I have a side here. You remember how we talked earlier? Daniel mentioned like we're figuring this out like 10 seconds before you're seeing the problem. So my computer, I have a guest in this guest bedroom. Miss Mama Clevenger is up here in Minnesota. So I turned my computer off last night. When I turn it back on, my VPN auto started up. And it was my VPN that was making it run slow.
Perfect.
I just realized that, so I shut it off. It should be fine now. Sorry, everyone.
Cool. Hey, they're hanging out with us. This fine.
Hey, yeah. So did we transition to the Pro 420 yet?
No, we have not.
Hey, let's talk about
we were
Pro 420.
we were talking about winners and the all the notes you had basically there. And
Yeah.
if you guys want to see what the payouts are, you can obviously go to Midwest Drag Race Series.com or you can find it on Facebook. I'll be building up the ones for Flying H coming up here tomorrow. That's my goal, is to have that done tomorrow.
Absolutely. And a particular note to watch for is these fall SmackDown payouts, because we're talking like, I think first round loser in like runners up in brackets get paid more than like a regular Pro Mod winner.
Yeah, it's
like
pretty intense. We can't talk about that yet. That's
not yet.
later. That's notes later.
Hey, let's talk about Pro 420
Yes.
with Dave Pierce. James Ogden was your final, and James Ogden. Oh, I licked the windows off of that thing. I swear, dude, it's a beauty of a car. Takes it to Dave Pierce, and I don't root for and I don't root against racers, but I was joking with Dave afterwards, and I said, Dave, I don't root against you, but I'm glad that we got James to win, because it was Dave Pierce founded this class. We did a drawing for a Summit Racing Equipment gift card, and just by random chance, I drew Dave Pierce's name, and Dave Pierce graciously declined it. And I was like, yeah, it might have looked like the Dave Pierce show. If Dave Pierce founded the class, Dave Pierce won the gift card, Dave Pierce won the event.
I'll tell you this much, for racers, if you're willing to put the work in that he's done and then comes out and wins the class, good on him.
Absolutely.
Good on him.
And he was the man. He was the man to beat up until the final round. I thought that Dave was the strongest racer in the class, but James nipped him, and I had to like change my view, because James was running quick. He ran quick a couple rounds, 419 range, but took Pierce out in the semis. And as we move through to the Pro 420, these are fun. This is a fun class, man. It's our only index class in the Midwest Drag Racing Series, but it's been a long time coming. Kurt Riffle drove Brian Lewis's Studebaker. He was ousted, I believe it was in the semis. Kurt drove it. I thought Kurt did an excellent job driving the Studebaker.
And to have never been in that car before, he did a stellar job. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. It's going to be a championship.
Try five. Yeah. Big time. And I think he wants it. Like, what was the quote that James gave you?
Yeah. So I told him, I'm like, hey man, you got Dave. And he said, you tell Dave to get ready, to get used to it. I believe.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Oh, there's Tim Cunningham. Dude, the Pierce family. Yeah. Top notch people. Yep. We're glad that he's got it up and running. I want to give a shout out to Macy Higgins, he's had better weekends, if I'm being honest with you.
I'm going to show the picture just for a second, but this is pretty tough to watch. It was hard to witness it in person too, because that car is so clean and beautiful.
It is. It's a beautiful car. Yeah. So he took our wildest ride this weekend, and that's one of the awesome things, by the way, is we got through Throwdown T-Town. That was our biggest incident, if you want to call it that. I mean, we didn't even have really an oil down the whole weekend. So, I mean, awesome job from our drivers and safety crew. But Macy, he hit I missed it a little bit because I was about to go down and grab a water. But he, from what I know, he pulled right and then it pulled left, got up on two wheels and slammed into the wall. Yep. And not only it's so sad seeing a beautiful car like that hit the wall. And Steve, I mean, our hearts break for that. Here's what makes it even sadder. Okay. As I talked to Macy, that's a Mountain Motor Pro stock spec car, right? Mm-hmm. It's his first time driving a clutch car. And up until that, he'd driven it really well. He bought that from a man named, hold on, I got this. He bought that from Rocky Watford in South Carolina. And when he bought that, oh my God, there it is. Okay. When he bought that, it had 25 total runs in the history of that car. And so that when that happened, there was less than 30 runs in that car. And yeah, my heart goes out to the Higgins crew.
Yeah.
I'm
But
hoping they'll
hey,
be back.
hey,
I'm hoping they'll be
that
back.
dude still got in another car. Like, what do you race? Top Sportsman?
He ran Top Sportsman.
Yeah.
So the plan was they had that Top Sportsman car in case they couldn't get the Pro Stock up to 4.2 seconds, or they had some
Mhm.
kind of issue with it. They're like, we can tune this up to like 420 or 430, or we can get within. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the Pro Stock qualified, and so they decided to run the red one. My mind is blanking on what specifically it was, but they ran it in Top Sportsman, and he went a few rounds. So, and I do want to say too, obviously we showed you the pictures. You saw it on TV. Drivers, okay, he was out within what, like 20 seconds.
Oh, yeah.
So, and I want to give a shout out, by the way, to Noel and Ryan, who are behind the scenes, like producers. They're running the switcher, they're running the editing. That was their first ever on track incident. And they did a great job, cut away from it, do this, throw it a commercial. So give a shout out to them too. But
Yep.
man, yeah, heart breaks to see a beautiful car like that. The only naturally aspirated car in that 825 cubic inch engine. And
Yeah. It was cool to see that, and I love having the NA stuff there. I'm not
yeah,
really, I like turbos. Everybody knows that by now, but seeing that car there and taking on that field and being naturally aspirated, it's pretty amazing.
absolutely. And one other shout out to Daryl Hubbard. He grabbed the number one qualifier spot with a 421 and a 6. Yeah, look at that, beautiful. That, of course, of Ed Thornton's old Pro Mod. And that is $500 courtesy of Skyview Race Cars. So thank you to Skyview for throwing that up with our M&M Transmission Pro 420. Next event will be in Odessa, and we will have a different sponsor for the Pro 420 class. So I want to mention a big thank you to M&M Transmission, Mark Mickey. Congratulations on going as far as you did, even though I know you could have gone further, but we appreciate Mark Mickey and M&M Transmission and all that they do. And then we also appreciate Skyview Race Cars for putting up $500 for the number one qualifier, which is awesome to see. I can't wait for this class to thrive. Let's see as we move on. Top Dragster. Jeremy Maples overcame Lloyd McClure. Jeremy Maples is a bracket racer. He ran Top Dragster. And he beat Lloyd McClure, Ted White, and Jordan Epper-Jesse for his first ever win in Midwest Drag Racing Series. And I thought it was really cool that Jordan Epper-Jesse does not have a Top Dragster win. Maples didn't, and we were going to see a new winner here or there. Either way you went. So it was awesome to see Jeremy Maples, and his kids were there too, racing. We do more turbo Top Dragsters. Darn straight we do. We had an LS Top Dragster, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
That was Travis's. Yep. Travis's.
Oh, that was Travis's. Yeah, there he is.
Travis' girlfriend actually driving that all weekend. And that combo, I was talking to him down there because, Drag and Drive Life.
No.
I was talking to him down there. That actually came out of a running driving car that they had taken on Drag and Drives in the past. So moved it into that, right into Top Sportsman or Top Dragster. And that thing worked, man. I'm telling you, it worked. It was really cool.
Yeah.
I don't have any shots of it, but it's a twin turbo LS inside of a Top Dragster. Looked really cool.
So Eric says Maples is one of the best DT racers around. I'm hopeful. I don't know. I don't have words. I need to talk to him, but man, if he can show up to all of our events, if he shows what he showed this weekend, man, he high hopes, man. he could have a really nice season.
Well, and that's one thing about this, as we work into the series side of stuff, not just weekend racing, but into the series side of stuff. Now you're talking about, a guy comes out, wins his first one. It's kind of like James Ogden. We saw him at every race last year, but now does Jeremy Maples go, man, Flying H isn't that far from me, or St. Louis isn't that far. Maybe I can go there and grab some points and make some rounds. So pretty cool.
Absolutely. The only track we really have that you see that's a little bit of a drive is Michigan. And a lot of our guys make the drive to Michigan just because, I mean, the crowd in Michigan is like the crowd we had this week. The crowd in Michigan's awesome. Let's move on to Top Sportsman. And we had a question earlier from Ethan Whitsett. He said, I noticed that all the pro mods run faster than any of the Top Sportsman, Top Dragster. I was under the impression that Top Dragsters would be faster than pro mods because of vehicle design resembling Top Fuel cars. And the response is all power plants are not made equal. Top dragsters are lighter often, but they're
Yeah, they just don't quite have
Mhm.
the crazy
Oomph.
engine builds and,
Yep.
a lot of the turbos and stuff that you're gonna see on those type rigs or nitrous kits or stuff like that are not gonna be what you would see in like
Yeah.
a pro mod or a funny car.
Now, if you took a Pro Mod engine and put it in a
Yep.
top dragster car, it might actually be faster than a Pro Mod, all things depending, because it's a much lighter chassis. But one of the things too is that we have a limit on top dragster for how fast you can run. I think it's 7.0. Don't quote me. I'm not even going to try and say what it is with any authority. But we have a limit for how fast top dragsters can run, because dragsters are much more uncorked TD in qualifying. We have had a top dragster, Anita Strasberg, go toe to toe with Stephen Whiteley at 366. There it is. Thank you,
Yep.
Travis. We have had Stephen Whiteley and Anita Strasberg go toe to toe in top dragster versus pro mod, and it would have been closer, but Anita redlit. That was a couple years ago at XRP.
Are you saying a little bit of grudge racing?
It was $50,000 of grudge racing. Everyone know a little bit about it.
Oh, wow. Wow.
But the other thing too is that as a bracket class, as a class with a performance prediction, dragsters are not nearly as expensive to maintain or to acquire as pro mods are, right? So if you run, I don't know, like a 4-1 in top dragster, the money you're spending is a fraction of what the pro mod guys spend to go 360 or, on a good night. So it kind of, top dragster is a little more easily accessible, I guess I would say, right, Mike? So that's kind of the reason you see top dragster is slower. But you're not wrong, though. If you did put equivalent engine into a dragster shaped car, it would usually go pretty fast. So, but yeah, I hope that answers your question. Top sportsman Rod Moore does it again, man. This dude, he is so nonchalant when you're in the pits, the whiskey barrel, Holiday Distillery whiskey barrel, and then like you just watch him on the track, and the dude just does numbers. He goes rounds, he goes rounds, he goes round. He's like unstoppable. Like I hate to use the term. He's unstoppable.
I mean, listen, there's some folks that are gonna give it to him this year, and
there will. Nobody
Dave
has
Pierce
a bigger target on their back than Rod Moore right now.
Well, and I'm telling you, Dave Pierce and Tina are working on the truck right now.
Oh,
They've already got the big tires mounted. Him and I were messaging back and forth. They already have the big tires mounted, and they're finishing up the wheelie bars, and they're going to do some testing before flying age. So once that truck gets sorted, it's going to be really, really fast, and it's going to I think it's going to give Rod a run for his money. One thing I did catch Rod doing was upgrading the feed tube from the nitrous inside the tanks, and I don't know much about nitrous stuff, but the tube that he put in, he said he was having a little bit of like feed issue at the end of the track, like it just wasn't consistent. So he upgraded to this thing that was, let's say the old feed was, the size of a straw, and now the new one's like the size of my big finger. It could really fit a lot more nitrous within that. So I think we're going to see him get even better as time goes on.
Even better. I mean, the dude's already, like I said, if anybody has, thank you for the kind words, by the way, Bobby. If anybody has a target on his back, it's him and Alexis Kesterson, because I know everyone wants to take down Keith because, Keith's Keith, right? Like, yeah, you know his name. But it's the people who are going for a three-peat when nobody's ever gone for a three-peat, and that is Rod Moore and Alexis Kesterson, two of the baddest drivers on our circuit. So it'll be interesting to see. And speaking of nitrous, I got a message from Tim Cunningham talking about his top sportsman Lumina. It's a Tim McCamus car built after it's a third car he built. 31 years old. It's got a 632 rear Morrison big block, 2 stages of nitrous, owned by Jim and Sherry Honey. And he says he's going to be back with nitrous at the next event. Maybe St. Louis with the nitrous, but he's had some fuel pump issues during the weekend during testing, but they're ready to rock.
Yes.
When he rolled up, I pulled my binoculars out because I saw Cunningham, but I was like, I don't think Tom's doing double duty. Tim's in there. Tim's running it. 21-year retirement he's had.
Wow.
He retired from racing, from driving rather, 21 years ago, and Jim and Sherry Honey gave him the opportunity to get back behind the wheel, and he said, "Yeah, I'll go behind
He's
the
like,
wheel."
please,
Yeah,
yes. Wow, how fun. I wonder what that was like knocking the dust off.
right.
That's a conversation we need to have when we get to Flying H.
And that's not a nothing burger of a class. Those top sports
Oh yeah, low fours. I mean, they're
low fours as quick as heck, man.
yeah, yeah. It's intense. It was intense for sure. All right, juniors. So you got Alexis Kesterson starts off her Triple Crown run right here.
Yep,
That's going to be pretty cool. She beat Tyler Wells,
one-time
5
champ or
rounds.
two-time champion, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 rounds of eliminations. The only class to go 5 rounds. She beat Race Raglan in the EV.
Mhm.
That was fun to watch. Carson, Clocker, and then of course Wells.
Yeah, and like I said, a big shout out to, you mentioned it, Kesterson, the only person to go 5 rounds in our Midwest classes. So she had an extra. The work was done for everyone. She had an extra bit of work to do, right? And
Yeah.
everyone else went 4 rounds. And then Brecken Whiteley, Stephen and Delana, their daughter, beat Ellie Carson, Braylee Blevins, Landon Maples, whose dad won, by the way, and Presley Moberly. That's a good chunk of talent there as well. Yeah, there you go. J&A Service with 3 cars in winner's circle.
Right.
Brecken's a very good young drag racer, and I do want to give a shout out to Braylee Blevins in Candy. Dude, look, I am not a little girl, right? But if I was a little girl, that's what my car would look like. That is bad to the bone, that wrap.
Yeah.
And Braylee Blevins, first time in a dragster, we watched her make her first ever pass, cut down a 116 light, I think, on her first ever time on a tree, which is impressive. And she won a round. Like,
it was awesome. It was awesome to watch.
She won her first ever round, and then she got eliminated in the second round. She's 500. I told her, I'm like, do you have any idea how many drag racers at this building or, at this event aren't 500 in their career?
Yeah. You know how long it took to get like a first win,
Yeah. Well,
I don't know if I have my first win as an adult now. I may have as a younger guy, but not as an adult against Chandler Gregory and Jonathan Stonecipher. They've just mopped the floor with me.
Yeah, she was very good, and she's got a bright future ahead of her. And Kylie as well. I mean, Kylie is a heck of a young driver as well. So big shout out to Braylee on her first ever weekend. We love seeing it. More than 100 local racers and in index and heads up classes. We love our local racers. We love 100 cars turned up, man.
It was pretty intense. We had almost 200 cars on property.
200 cars. 28,000 fans, it
was a lot. It was a lot. It was pretty cool. And good weather.
Fantastic weather. 77 on Friday, 82 on Saturday, somewhere around there. Not very humid. It usually is very humid in Tulsa. It was about 50%, I think, both days. I don't remember any of the DA readings that I had, but I mean, it was as good as you can ask for that region of the country.
Yeah.
In May.
Yeah, we're probably not going to have that good of weather at Flying H.
No, I would say.
I hope I hope it's good weather, but man, it's probably going to be a little warmer. And we got another 2 weeks. We're going to be 81 here in Northwest Arkansas this weekend, and they're pretty close to us. When they're 2.5 hours, 3 hours north of us. So I would imagine we're going to get into some of the 80s, which is going to be cool because that means Friday night racing. You're going to end up in the 60s as those cars are making some big time licks.
Perfect. We should just come and race up here in my neck of the woods and right around Memorial Day weekend. I mean, it'll be like 65 all weekend. It'll be great,
man.
Like God intended.
Yeah,
I'm kidding. It's not quite that cold, but it did hit 70 today. Yeah. Speaking of Flying H. Couple news things to get through. Pro Mod Todd Martin said he's bringing back the car. I talked to him briefly. He said, "Hey man, the Mustang will be there." He goes, "I'm planning on it, man." He was actually planning on being at this race, but the part just didn't come in. And he's like, "I have the part." He needs to install it, but Todd Martin will be there. So our Pro Mod field expandeth. Mark Mickey will be on site. Currently holds the track record. What is that?
358. dude.
Talk about setting a high standard when the
And
track
like
is like an infant.
it was seriously one of the first passes of the track. Like seriously one of the first passes
That's
of the track that
that's
and
so
runs
bad, dude.
358 at 221.
It's so bad to the bone, dude.
Yeah.
BA at 221. That's a record that honestly might stand for a really long time too. Like a 5.8's hard to beat.
The ET will probably stand through Midwest, but I don't know if the 221 will stand.
Can you
Or
ask what I think the bump spot will be at the SmackDown race?
ooh,
This one or
ooh,
the fall one? Oh,
I would think they're probably talking about the fall
yeah,
race.
the fall
Mm,
one. If I'm being real with you, because I forget, are we doing a field of 16 or 32? I
I
think we're
think
doing what is it?
I think it's 32.
I think it's
I should know this by now.
I should too.
Yeah.
I know I said it at one point. I'm gonna go with a 7-1.
No way. No way. Yeah,
7-2.
it's 32. So
32?
if it's 32, that's probably right.
Yeah.
That's probably right. Low 70s. You're on the money. Hey, that would be a fun game. That would be a fun game. Maybe
Oh my
we
gosh,
do like a 50-50 and you draw out numbers and you buy in $20, we get some money to charity or something.
we'll make a video where we ask each person with the Midwest series what we think the bump's gonna be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me tell you right now, too, depending on the weather, it would not shock me if it actually ends up being in the 6s.
Yeah.
Yeah. A 367 for Cody Driver. Yeah.
Yeah.
I am if I knew I need the entry list too. And as we get closer, I
Yep.
want to see it. I will say we did have a very tight pro mod field when you actually looked at the qualifications, and for only 17, we only had 17, so the bump was a little low, but 1 through like 11 were all in like the below 378.
Yeah.
So with the amount of cars that might show up to that, yeah, 367. I wouldn't shock me. 370, 371.
Yeah. Plus, I was going to say we've got another 4 months of promotion, and
Yeah.
we're just kicking off that as we move into early next week.
Some of these cars, by the way, that maybe didn't show out very strong in Tulsa. Not to pick on someone, but just off the top of my head, the number 17 qualifier, Chris Giuliano. I bet you he finds his tune by then. I bet you, Todd Bennett is running faster and faster and faster by then. It could tighten up quite a bit. Mike Randall says a 370.
Yep.
This is going to be something we talk about all year, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it better be. I mean, listen, so pro mod
it's a big deal
in histoy. I mean,
It's-
$260-something thousand. Like if that doesn't get somebody excited about pro mod racing and all the other racing too, like funny cars, huge payouts, top sportsmen, that's going to be a fun class to watch develop and see what comes of all that. And then, dude, Pro 420. Oh, there's going to be 30 cars there for Pro 420. It's going to be intense. I'm telling you, we're going to have some fun. Being on the social media side of this stuff, we're going to have a blast. We'll be talking to a lot of the racers as we lead into the next couple weeks.
Shout out to Cody, by the way. He did send me a video from the stands, and that was a sick one. I watched that while I was down and up. Hey, by the way, also speaking of Flying H, Blake Housley will be at Flying H in the 41 wheelies. You know that I lick the window, I'll lick the paint, I'll lick the tires on a Willys Pro Mod. Man, I freaking love those things. So great to see Blake Housley. Top Sportsman, Tina and David Pierce. You have an update on them?
Yeah, they're going to be bringing the Colorado with big tires and wheelie bars, and they're going to be in the Nova as well. And I've got a story about that here in just a second about the Nova. But David said the big tires are already on the truck. Wheelie bars are going on this week. And he said, I don't really know much about big tires and wheelie bars, but I'm going to learn.
Hey, man, if there's one guy who's going to be dangerous and learn that knowledge real quick, it's going to be David Pierce.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
that
dude's not scared of anything, and she's not scared to drive anything.
No.
Well, lastly, as we kind of wrap up here, I do want to talk about something that those guys have been really nice to me about is Keith and Ellen. Thank you so much for doing this. Everybody knows I'm a huge drag and drive guy. I mean, that's what I do as my other half of my life, or other 2/3 of my life is cover drag and drive racing. And we're going to have a display. We're going to have up to 10 cars, maybe more. I don't know. We'll see. That are going to all pit together. I'm making some signage up and things like that for these guys. These are obviously race car friends of mine that are going to be coming that have done a drag and drive event in the car they're bringing in the last 18 months. That was the whole goal of this. And so we have racers like Red Hat Scotty, who's a local. This track is about 20 minutes from him. David and Keaton Maxon are bringing the S10 out. This track's 6 minutes from their house. So they're coming. We've got Dustin Cottle, he was one of our drag and drive ambassadors last year for Drag Drive Repeat and the award show. Tina Pierce and David Pierce bringing the Nova. They're going to park it in the pit area there as well. Jason Golden is going to be there in this car. This is an 8-second nitrous powered small block 4. That car is intense. Mike Angerer's coming up in his Opel Omega, and there's a lot more racers that are coming, but those are the ones that I have pictures of that I could get to easily this afternoon. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And of course, anytime that those guys are racing, I'm going to be up in the tower talking about them as well. And the other side of that too is like, this is going to just kind of shed some light on some of the drag and drive racing that goes on in the part of the country.
The Midwest Series and Drag and Drive, we're good friends. We love each other. I can't wait, man. I can't wait. You're going to have to introduce me to some of these guys. I need to join you. Yeah. I know I had an invite from Alex to do Race Week.
Yep. Bring it on. You'll love it.
I'm really considering it. I have a work thing I got to figure out, but
I'm with it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to join you one of these years. I would love to do a drag and drive event. Even if it's not like I not even to announce. I just want.
Oh, you need to experience it. You need to be in the car. You don't need to necessarily announce your first one. You need to be in the car.
You've heard me talk about how much I just want to have side of the road breakdowns, fixing it at the last second, and I'm a psychopath. Hey, by the way, Drag Drive Repeat. You guys are on Facebook. You guys are on Instagram. Your website,
YouTube, TikTok,
TikTok, you name it, and visit Mike's site. All right, it'll tell you everything you need to know about drag and drive, where your local one is, or where the closest one to you rather is. And I can't recommend it enough, man. Your life, if you're watching, could use some adventure, and drag and drive is built to give you an adventure.
Yeah, one thing I do want to say, Jason Hurley, who's won the last 3 Rocky Mountain events, he was toying with the idea of bringing the big car as a test because they're going to be racing at a lot of these style tracks here in the area, so he could get some real good stuff. And that car runs 7.0s at 200 plus. So I was like, man, you need to run Pro 420 because that class, it would be fun to see you go up against.
Right.
He goes, I think I'm actually faster than that. I think I could probably run Top Sportsman and give them a run for their money. So if I have some peer pressure pull here, guys, somebody tag Jason Hurley and tell him we want him to come on out. It'd be a lot of fun.
Hey, speaking of tagging, as we wrap up the show here, if you guys have any updates that you want me or Mike or anybody to bring in, don't be afraid to shoot me a message on Facebook right at this name right here. You can shoot Mike Narks a message right at this name right here, Mike Narks. Don't be afraid to shoot us a message. Our DMs are open. I know I'm a public profile. I think, Mike, you are as well. So even if we're not friends, first off, why not, man? Like, I'll be your friend, dude. I'm everyone's friend. But shoot me a message, and I'll plug you. I'll tell your story. I'll plug your sponsors. I love plugging sponsors. It's literally what I love to do most in this world. And Mike, that's true. So shoot us a message, man, and we will see you guys in Odessa. Mike, you have any other things to add here? I think that just about wraps us up, man.
Guys, have fun. Thank you so much. Yeah. We will see you in 10 days, 12 days, 20 days. I don't know. 14.
Dude, like that. We will see you in too many days. All right. Too many days. We'll be in Odessa, Flying H. It is the summer SmackDown. Be there or be square. Watch it on Flow Sports, and please use that QR code if you're able. And we'll talk to you next during the pre-show.
All right, guys. See you.
Peace.